Hello everybody, this is going to be a commentary of my recent Torna Any PB. It's been a while since I did any sort of commentary like this, mostly because I just haven't had a run which I was really proud of and I wanted to commentate. So I finally got a pretty good run here for Torna Any and I thought I would commentate it just to provide a bit more insight into the speedrun and the route and the sort of decision making which I have to do. This is a pretty different speedrun compared to the base game. It's a lot more focused on side questing and collection, and I'll point that out as we progress with the run. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna be thrown into a battle. And this is actually one of the more annoying parts of the speedrun, because there's just a lot of little things that can happen in this tutorial fight that can make it very annoying and just lose you bits of time here and there. For example, I get blocked here on the last hit of my auto attack, which means I just have to restart the entire auto attack string, which loses me some time. The idea here is you want to use 2 of your Path of Thorns to build up to your tier 1 and then use that to finish off first enemy here. And there are 3 waves to this tutorial. The second wave is against these 3 wolves here. What I do is I target one of the smaller ones, and then I weaken that one first. And then I target the one in the middle, and then I also weaken that one. And when the Vanguard switch is ready, I swap over to Jin, and then I use Chill Stroke to hopefully take a few of them out at the same time. In this case, I only took one of them out, but it's fine because I can just use Jin's auto attacks to clean up the rest of the wolves, and that's totally fine. And then comes the third wave, and I just use a couple of Chill Strokes here to get up to my tier 3. Just gonna deal quite a bit of damage. And then by this time Laura's Vanguard switch should be ready, so I go back to Laura and then use her art, and also sometimes if I need more damage I'll use her tier 1 as well. And then once you hit a certain threshold, the game will prompt you to do a tier 4. You have to use this tier 4 to finish this fight because the game makes this monster invincible apart from the last hit of the tier 4, so you cannot kill with anything except the tier 4 that the game gives you here. And after that, we are ready to start exploring, kind of. The first thing I do here is I actually turn off enemy aggro. So if you are aggroed by an enemy, you are not able to interact with the overworld, such as getting collection spots, also talking to NPCs and stuff like that. And obviously that's really bad because, like I said, the speedrun's very focused on collection, and there's a lot of collection that you have to do. So as far as possible, you don't want enemies to be aggroing you while you're going around collecting stuff. So we're heading over to Porton here for the tutorial. And here you're going to learn about collection spots, and these are where you can get collectibles, and you're going to need a variety of these throughout the run for crafting and also just for turning into side quests, and also to unlock skills of some of your characters. So I get the nearest free spots here. These are for the tutorial. You have to get these spots to unlock the camp here. And then in the camp you can do a few things. You can craft, you can level up your characters, and you can also have a chat, which is pretty useless, so we don't do that in the speedrun. Here you have to cook the trout stralu. This is a requirement. Otherwise, if you try to sleep, the game will put you back in this menu and tell you to cook. But after cooking, we can go to bed and level up our characters. We only level up once, to level 3, but that's going to be enough for the next fight, because at level 3 we gain access to another art, which we're going to see shortly. And right after that, we learn about chests, and I mean, it's just like any other RPG, they contain items. This one contains a rigid vest, which increases your bulk, increases your HP, so it's pretty nice for survivability. Next we do one of the first big menus of this game. Swap around some arts, level up Lord's Break arts to give it more damage and also less cooldown. And then I give her the rigid vest, give her an agility skill to make her a bit more tanky, and then also swap around Jin's art and level up his Snow Blast, which is going to be a very useful skill for dealing lots of damage. And now I'm going to start keeping track of some of the collectibles which I get. Lily of the Sunny Valley. We're going to want 3 of these before we leave Lasaria, ideally. Otherwise you would have to just warp and get backup spots, which loses a lot of time. Cotton Branch you need 7 of in total, 2 of which you need before you leave Lasaria, but I always try to get as many as possible because it's extremely slow to get Cotton Branch later on in the run, so you want to get as many as you can now. Likewise for Corkscrew Creeper, you don't need as many, you only need 4, so that you usually don't have trouble with that one. Cotton Branch is the one that usually you're lacking. And in this fish spot you can get Grimdark Crab, which I get 1 of here. These are probably the hardest items to get in Lasaria. You need 3 of them, ideally before you leave Lasaria. You can get them later in the letter, later on the run, but it's extremely slow to do so. So usually if I do not get enough crabs, I just reset in Lasaria. For a really good time, you really want to make sure that you get as much of these early collection RNG as possible. You don't want to lose time to that, especially when you can just reset pretty early on in the run. So here we go into another fight against the Gargoyle. He's quite a few levels higher than us, and he has a lot of HP. Fortunately for us, there are quite a few ways which we can increase our damage. Jin has a skill on this tree called Transmigration, which increases his damage every time you do a Vanguard switch. So the strat here is just going to be Vanguard switching as much as possible to rack up that Transmigration bonus. And on top of that, he also has a skill which increases his damage and max affinity even further. So affinity is that line in between the driver and the blade. At the start of the battle it's blue, but as you progress and you gain more affinity, it turns golden, which means you're at max affinity, and then you enjoy a lot of buffs such as increased damage, critical rate, decreased arts cooldown and stuff like that. So it's very important to get to max affinity because you just deal a whole lot more damage. So the strat here is just to keep breaking this dude and to topple him to make sure that he doesn't deal that much damage to us. Breaks are kind of like status effects. They're known as driver combos. They're known as status effect. They're known as driver combos, and they're kind of like status effects, just increase the damage that you deal to enemies. Topple as well can immobilize them while increasing damage. So next we have a fight against Adam and Mithra. My strat here is to start on Mithra because she's a lot easier to hit. Adam has a lot of evasion, so I want to build up to max affinity first before I start hitting Adam. Get a nice start here, get Mithra on the topple, and Jin's tier 2 does increase damage to toppled enemies. And once I get max affinity, I'm just going to swap over to Adam and start weakening him as well. I don't need to take out Mithra immediately because there's going to be some AoE from Laura's spinning wheel here, and also Jin as the blade in the background. I'm not sure if it's called the Vanguard or... But basically Jin as the non-playable character here is going to be dealing more damage from the background as well. And yeah, that was a pretty decent fight. Adam there didn't troll me too hard. Sometimes he can just dodge like all of your hits. And afterwards he joins our party, but we're not going to use him quite yet, because we're going to need a driver that has 2 blades to do this next part of the run. Pretty infamous part, I might say. This is called zombie jump. So to set up this glitch, we're going to have to apply the death code and a state known as zombie hover onto both our blades. After the fight, we're actually joined by our second blade Haze here, so Laura now has 2 blades. And by holding a combination of buttons for a certain amount of time in the camp here, I can apply this zombie hover state onto both the blades here, and this is going to have some interesting effects, like allowing me to jump infinitely. And that's going to give us access to areas that we do not normally have access to at this point of the run. So you can see by swapping blades and jumping, I can gain height infinitely. And we're going to abuse this quite heavily, as you might imagine. In fact, you can use this glitch to skip the entire final dungeon, which is the main difference between this category, any percent, and the glitchless category. There are quite a few other differences as well, but this is the main time save, just being able to skip the final dungeon. So yeah, in this game, to progress with the story, you have to trigger story flags, which are these pink icons that you can see at the top of the screen. It just so happens that for the final dungeon, there are no story flags in the dungeon itself, it's just at the top. So what we can do is we can actually just abuse this glitch to go and tag the top location. And that way at the end, when we have to go through the final dungeon, we can just warp back to that location and we can just skip the entire dungeon altogether. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm jumping up. And this is actually a new zombie jump strat that we're doing. So before this, we were doing one big zombie jump from the start and just jump all the way to the end. But now we split it up into 3 parts, and this is faster because it speeds up the horizontal movement. If you were to move forward horizontally while doing the zombie jump, it's a lot slower than just running. So by doing it this way, you can actually save 20 to 30 seconds off of the older method. So we're gonna tag the final area known as Soaring Rostrum. And we're not gonna come back here until the end of the game, obviously, when we have to face the final boss. But we don't just stop here, we're actually going to go and tag a few other areas in this region and get some pretty useful items as well. Pretty useful items that we would normally only have access to later on in the run. So we're gonna drop down to a place known as Hyber. This is a place which we're only gonna visit like halfway throughout the run, so we're coming here very early, much earlier than intended. Pick up the insect spot here. I'm looking for an item known as San Upa. That spot here in Hyber Village has a very high chance of dropping San Upa. Dropping between 3 to 5 drops and having a 30% chance each to be San Upa. Or 35%. I think it's 35, so it's very likely that you get it there. Unfortunately, I don't get it, so I have to go for a backup spot here in the desert. These are 3 to 4 drops each and 30% chance to drop San Upa. Before this, we were getting San Upas from Harrod Hills, which is earlier area that we were at earlier. Those drop also 3 to 4, but only have a 25% chance of dropping San Upa. So I started getting the insect spots here in Hyber and Danak, just because they're more likely to drop San Upa, so it's technically more optimal. On average, or in the long run, you actually do lose less time. And now we're gonna use the zombie hover state here to clip into this area known as the Tasteless Altar. This is where you can get pretty late in game stuff. So if you're familiar with the Shining Star chips in the base game, this is kind of like the Shining Star chips. And the silver chips and the gold chips are very strong core chips, basically like kind of end game level core chips. And also we pick up a few useful accessories such as the burst symbol, which increases our chain attack ratio, damage ratio, and also the beta scope, which decreases enemy break resistance. And that's going to be very useful for setting up very big combos later. Like I mentioned, break is a status ailment. It's also known as a driver combo. And when you apply a blade combo, which we're going to learn about later, on top of a driver combo, this is known as a fusion combo, and it amplifies the damage done by the blade combo exponentially. So by being able to break more consistently, we are making the run a lot more consistent and in setting up these big combos. So yeah, and also Laura is the one who has access to the break art. So with Laura, we are able to control, have a lot of control over how much damage we're dealing in battle. So right now I have 2 crabs already, which is really nice. I only need 1 more. So I'm just collecting some other stuff, which I'm gonna need. I get 2 cotton branches there, which is really nice, so I only need 2 more. And then here we can see how strong we are with the silver chips. I also forgot to mention that we picked up a couple of odds cores from Hyber. Hunter's Chemistry, which increases affinity at the start of battle. These are going to be very useful because it basically just gets you closer to max affinity and lets you reach max affinity a lot quicker. We also have Open Art, which increases the damage done by the first art used per battle. So it's not very useful in longer battles, but we're going to be killing a lot of random like little enemies to collect items, and this is going to be very useful for one-shotting a lot of these enemies. And a little more about the core chips that we just picked up. So the silver chips are very strong core chips, and we give that to Jin and Mithra because they're going to be our main damage dealers this run. The gold chip, while not as strong, increases enemy drop rates. So with 2 gold chips in our party, we can actually guarantee that each enemy will drop 2 items per kill. And this is also one of the distinguishing factors between any percent and glitchless. It's that a monster hunting monsters for collectibles is a lot more consistent in any percent. In fact, it's 100% consistent that you get 2 drops per enemy, whereas in glitchless it's sometimes you don't even get a single drop from an enemy. So definitely an advantage of the any percent speedrun here. Here we're going to set up another glitch known as Cainless. So this NPC here, Cain, he gives us a quest known as a simple errand. And this is where we are also introduced to the community system. So community is like when you complete quests, NPCs will join your community. And so the whole theme of this game is that you kind of want to help people and just make their lives better. And then when you do that, they join your community, and then it's kind of just like it's like just a whole big community of people. Basically just being friends with everybody. You can kind of think of it that way. But the gist of Cainless, this glitch, is that whenever you start a quest and the NPC will join your community, and then when you complete the quest, you will gain their community point. So you gain 1 point to the community per NPC. The problem is that whenever whenever NPCs enter your community or when you gain community points, there's a menu, and this is extremely slow because there's going to be a lot of quests and a lot of NPCs that are joining your community. And with Cainless, you can skip this menu entirely. So how it works is that we come to Yanchik Harbor via Lofton Nature Preserve, which we tagged just now as part of Zombie Hover. Not an intended way to reach Yanchik Harbor. So we can go there and make an autosave with the cutscene there first. And then when we get access to the community chart or the community menu, we will turn off or we will turn on the option to skip community registration. This prevents the menu from popping up whenever you accept a quest and then somebody joins your community but you don't have their community point yet. And then you save, you exit the menu to save these settings, and then you reset the game. And interesting thing that happens is that the game remembers your options, but when it loads the autosave, it's as if you haven't triggered the quest yet. So the game remembers that you want to skip community registration, but it also just hasn't unlocked the community menu yet. So what happens is pretty interesting. So the game doesn't know what to do, and it just puts you in the menu because it's supposed to give you the community menu, but you haven't unlocked it yet. So it just brings you into the menu here, and then you can just exit and you save time because you skip the menu of people joining your community. So they actually do join your community, you just don't get the menu and the animation. And this saves a lot of time throughout the run. So we're done with Lasaria. We finished the quest there, which gave us access to this item known as the Lightning Speed Flag, which increases our movement speed. We have to craft that later. But for now, we're in Gormott. This is the land of jazz. Has some really great music, and it's it's the biggest collection section of this game. The first thing I want to collect here is insects. These are going to be useful for crafting books, which are some of the best pouch items in this game. Increases your specials damage. Pouch items in this game aren't very good, for better or for worse. It's not like in the base game where you can just spam arts recharge items and make the combat go really fast. Fortunately for this game, because of Vanguard switching, which actually refreshes your arts, the combat is still pretty smooth and pretty fast, so you don't need a lot of pouch items to speed up combat. So the best pouch items are kind of just pouch items that increase your damage. So stick insects are going to be useful for crafting those. I also picked up the mineral spot, and I'm looking for 2 forest stone, 3 dicey rocks, and 1 floral soil. I believe I got all of it there. So I just skipped the second spot. I'm also picking up vegetables and flowers. I'm gonna need a ton of stuff. For vegetables, I'm gonna need 4 hustle hyacinths, 2 mini carrots, and 2 pumpkins. For flowers, I'm gonna need 6 rusca flower, 3 panda pansies, and 3 sunflower rouge. And for the tree, I need 3 puzzle tree wood at first. And then I'm gonna need 8 more puzzle tree wood later, but I have the entire Gormott section to collect those. I'm also gonna need 10 muscle branches and 3 deer wood at least. And again, I have the entire Gormott section to collect those. The only urgent one is the 3 puzzle tree wood, because we're gonna need those to craft an item soon. I also want to get memento bark, because those will be used to craft books. So just collecting more insects. You can see at the bottom of the screen, I'm actually keeping track of some of the items I'm collecting. So these aren't all the items I have to collect, it's just the ones that tend to be harder to keep track of. So I already have enough cotton branch and corkscrew creepers from Lasaria, so that's really good. I don't have to worry about those later. I'm also keeping track of my insects and my muscle branches because I need a lot of those. So I have a really good insect count at this point. 7 insects is a lot for this point. And then I'm just collecting more vegetables and flowers. So we reached Torrigoth. Here you can collect an extra puzzle wood spot if you need it. But since I already have enough, I don't need to collect that one. Instead, I'm just going to collect more flowers and also more vegetables. So I believe I'm still looking for the Hustle Hyacinth here. And I believe I have 3 at the end of this, so I need 1 more. And there's only 1 more vegetable spot upcoming, so... at this point I'm thinking to myself that I want to take some backup spots and so that I don't have to gamble on that last vegetable spot. I also collect this legendary vegetable spot here for 2 sumpkins, which I got there. So it's really nice. And then this flower spot I want to collect Dawn Hydrangea, which I did get there. It's going to be for crafting a late game item. And then I want to collect the street spot here normally because I'm going to need 2 Confusion Ivy for later, and it can also drop some deer wood, which can be useful. I don't get the Confusion Ivy, but I do get 1 deer wood. And then we're going to head into a battle with Bridget here. This is where we're going to learn about blade combos. So when you use a blade special, you set up a combo and that deals damage. To progress with the combo, you have to use a combo of higher tier, so tier 2, for example, to continue the combo, and then that will deal increased damage. And then there are some combo paths with certain elements that just deal more damage. For example, one that we're going to use a lot is electric into fire into ice, which is Ultimate Aurora. If you just use like 3 random elements, like for example electric into water into ice, that's not gonna deal as much damage as like a fixed, like a predetermined combo. But you can still finish the combo and deal increased damage. So it'll make more sense later. But for now we took out Bridget. My strat there is to bring Mithra closer to the soldiers so that when she uses her Ray of Punishment, can take all of them out at the same time. And then I want to break Bridget and get her toppled and start use my tier 1 from the back, which deals increased damage from the back. And if I need more damage, I can also use Chill Stroke. And I want to try to finish the fight with a joint combo finish. So basically finish the fight with a fusion combo. So since she's usually going to be either toppled or launched, I just need to apply a blade combo on top of that and finish the fight. And that actually gives me increased rewards from the battle, increased XP, and also skill points and stuff like that. Which are going to be nice because I'm going to need some skill points later to teach some pretty important skills. So like I said, I did get the backup vegetable spot, the extra vegetable spot after Bridget. So I do lose a bit of time there, but I did get the last Hustle Hyacinth that I need, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. And against this Ropal, you notice that I ran to the side and attacked at a distance. This is to be in what's known as just range, which is every blade has a certain distance which they will deal increased damage from. So in this case, if I stand at a distance away from the Ropal and attack with Jin, I will get increased damage of 15%. And it's going to be useful for a couple of bigger enemies, which I don't quite one-shot, so I'm going to need as much damage as I can get. So Ropal is one of them. But we're pretty strong with the opening art and the silver chips and everything, so for most of the small enemies, we can just one-shot them. Right, so here's Gormott. Can be kind of troll at times. You want to start the fight with Swallow's Flight. This is Laura's talent, which allows her to half her HP and recharge all of her arts at once. So this is very useful because later on we can use it to spam our break guard and start fishing very heavily for breaks to set up big combos. I kill Gormott there with Haze's tier 2 and then just finish this last one off with some auto attacks. So overall a really good fight. I don't gain as much time here because I had to take the backup vegetable spots. But otherwise it was a really clean fight. Alright, so next we're going to do another big menu kind of. Swap over to Mithra first and check her chart. This is just a setup for a later menu. More importantly, I want to unlock Forestry on Haze's skill chart. This is a skill which gives me a 60% chance to get double the drops from any tree spot, and that's going to be very useful to collect all the muscle branches that we need. I'm going to level up some arts so that I deal increased damage. These are also going to be useful for the final fight where art damage can come into play. And I'm also going to give the last gold chip to Bridget. So with 2 gold chips in our party, we're guaranteed to get 2 monster drops per kill. That's going to be very important because we have to collect 10 Ferris meat for later and also some abundant meat for a later quest. Just going to swap Hugo's skills around and teach him some skills on his affinity chart. One skill which I've been giving to my characters is Initiative, which basically just gives them access to an art at the start of the battle. So again, not useful for longer battles, but it's very nice for AI to help them get specials up quicker. Because we're going to be depending on AI such as Adam and Bridget to set up our ultimate Auroras for later, or big combos. Alright, so this is probably the worst collectible in Gormott, the bird clams. It's 3 to 4 drops per fish spot here, and it's only 20%. Sorry, I have to charge my laptop here. So yeah, if you're unlucky, you can actually lose a lot of time to the fish because you have to keep warping back to this spot to collect fish. But fortunately for me, I just get both the bird clams which I need from the first spot, which was really nice. There's actually another backup spot here, which is the legendary fish spot, which has 3 to 5 drops and 30% chance for the bird clam. But subsequently, it's faster to warp back to the Cooley Lake camp and get the normal fish spot instead. Right, so in that crafting menu, I crafted 2 survivalist sandwich, which are going to be used for a quest. I also craft lightning speed flag, which I mentioned just now, which increases our movement speed by 5%, and this saves quite a bit of time throughout the run because we're going to be running a lot. And then I also craft a silver detector. This is going to allow us to start collecting from machines, collect mechanical parts. And this is going to be very important because a lot of quests require mechanical parts, so it's going to give us access to a lot more community. Now I just want to do some quests and collect muscle branch and everything while I'm at that. Also collect some abundant meat here. Notice how I'm getting as much AoE as possible. Jin's Snow Blast has a straight line AoE, so I try to get as many things in between as possible, like I do here with the Ferris. I do it, I notice how I lure the little wolves to the big wolf here, and then I get all of them in the AoE. So I actually get a Hunter's Chemistry drop there from one of the small wolves. You already have 2 Hunter's Chemistries from Hyper, so this one's just an extra one which you get sometimes as drops. So it's a nice bonus. You can equip it onto a blade layer to speed up your combat even more. Now we're going to continue with this quest here. There are a lot of quests which you have to turn in items and gain points to complete them. And there's going to be one later which is very, very important to do. And basically, a lot of the collection routing is just revolves around that quest. And here I collect 2 wolf meat. 4 wolf meat actually. I killed 2 wolves to collect 4 wolf meat. You need 2 to craft quest items, and then the other 2 are useful for just to cook. Because you're gonna need to craft cooking items to turn in for another quest later. But the 2 that we need first is for another quest. It's not the same quest as the cooking quest. So 2 is required and 2 are optional, but nice to have. And then this quest here, you want a Scarlet Coil for. I collected mechanical parts when I went back to Lasham Cove just now, and you're looking for the Scarlet Coil, which is the only rare drop there is 15%. But you're pretty likely to get it because each spot drops 6 to 8 items. And then you have multiple tries to get it. So take advantage of the Cainless menu. The game just doesn't know what to do and puts you in the menu, and we take advantage of that to skip travel back to certain locations. So at this point I already have enough muscle branch, and it's really good. It's really early to get this many muscle branch, really good muscle branch luck. But I'm still going to collect wood because I'm going to need puzzle tree wood and also deer wood, and also I need to collect a certain number of collection spots. To be exact, I need 20 to unlock botany on Bridget's skill tree. This is like forestry, except it's for flowers and vegetables, and this is going to be very nice for later, the next area of the speedrun. Again, I get some really nice AoE there, triple kill with Jin Snowblast and all the bunnets there. Each engagement is like 7 seconds if you one-shot the enemy, so I save like 14 seconds over killing 3 bunnets one by one. And at this point I also have a lot of insects, so you want at least 10 insects, ideally, otherwise you have to do extra menuing. And up to 15 insects. So you can get more later, but the more you get now the better, so you don't have to depend on... So you don't have to get too lucky to get enough insects later, basically. So go back to Singbree's bow here. Just wrapping up the rest of the quests in Gormott. I'm gonna collect tree spots again. It's for more wood. Yep. Here, after the cutscene, the tree spot respawns, so you can collect the wood again. Especially if you need more muscle branch, this is very useful. Like this insect spot here, which is pretty nice. It's pretty along the way to where you need to go, and then just kill a few more bunnets. Notice how I'm trying to position myself again to get as much AoE as possible. Didn't quite kill that one, but finish it up pretty quickly. And I believe this is the last spot I need for botany, so everything just worked out. You want to collect as many things that are useful as possible. You don't want to collect spots just for botany. You want to collect stuff like insects and wood, stuff that you need as you unlock botany. That's the most ideal. Alright, so just finishing up a few more quests before we head back to Lasham Cove. So overall, this has been a very good Gormott section. Very good collection luck, And especially with the fish, which can lose you a lot of time if you're unlucky. Also very good luck, very good positioning with the monster kills. This is the last quest that we complete before we head back to Lashup Cove. And while we're here, I might as well just explain that I'm playing this game in German. Not for any particular reason. I'm just learning German and I feel comfortable playing this in German. It doesn't make the game faster or anything. Likewise for the voice acting. You can play the game in either English or Japanese voices. I play in Japanese because I like the voice actress of Hazen Laura. But both are totally fine, it's not faster to play in either language. Right, so here we have a quest where we have to kill an urchin. Normally what you do is you just run to the side and snow blast it. Unfortunately for me, Mifra actually misses her Ray of Punishment here, so I don't quite kill him. I lose a bit of time just cleaning him up. Not a big deal. Finish it up pretty quickly, and there is one more immunity. Now for its next dude, you want to swap over to Laura. This next enemy always starts off the battle with a snipe. And fun fact, he has an 8% chance to crit, and if he crits, you die. So the strategy here is just to not get crit. And yeah, Laura can tank the hit, but Jin cannot, which is why you want to start on Laura. And anyway, you want to try to break him with Laura, then you can topple with Jin. So it's better to start on Laura anyway. So we get the break here, and then I missed the topple. But fortunately for me, Adam topples him, so I'm able to finish him off quickly. This guy can get really dangerous if you like miss your topples, and then he hits you again, which is very bad. A little bit of an unnecessary tier 1 there, just in case my Snow Blast missed, but it was basically dead already, so I didn't have to do that. But yeah, that's the last quest which we do in Gormott. So now I'm just going to finish up the rest of the story, and then we can go to the next area, which is called Aletta. Before that, I'm going to accept one more quest called Taste of Home. And this is where a quest where we have to cook 2 dishes. And that's also the quest which we need the burnt clams for in the Sunkins. This is a quest which we only do in any percent because of the way Cainless routing works. With Cainless routing, the idea is you still want to complete a simple errand because it gives you lots of community, and it's a prerequisite quest to more quests that give you community. But you want to delay it for as long as possible so that you don't get the community menu. So in between the start and the end where you do a simple errand, you want to get as many quests as possible, whereas so you have to do quests like Taste of Home and also another quest later in RSO, but basically any percent glitchless doesn't have to do this because it's not bound by the constraints of Cainless routing. So you can do quests in a more optimal manner. So in any percent, you actually do the quest in a slightly unoptimal manner, but you save time regardless because you skip the community menu. Right, so here in Aletta, I give Laura and Adam a pretty important skill called Arts Chain. This allows them to cancel their arts off of each other and basically charge up their specials a lot quicker. Also check Bridget's tree for botany and also give the outdoor attack Ox Core to Mifra and Jin. This is an Ox Core which we got from the detector quest. And it's basically an unconditional 20% damage increase. It technically only works when you're outdoors, but most of the fights in this run, I believe, actually no, all of the fights in this run take place outdoors, so you just get free damage with that aux core. It's really nice. Alright, so this story quest, feeding an army, this is where you need a lot of collectibles for the free Grimdark crabs, which you need from Saria. Again, you can get the crabs here, but it's extremely slow, so you might it's better to just get them in Aletta. You also need 5 of the Ferris meat, which we got already in Gormott. We got 10 of them, 5 of them we need now, and 5 of them later. And also need some Weeping Flower, which we can get from the flower spots here, and also Lactonuts, which we can get from the vegetable spots here. I'm also going to need 5 carrots for later, which is why you're seeing me play the vegetable spots as well, not just for the Lactonuts. But I'm also counting the number of carrots, which I get, 20 carrots. And this legendary spot here can drop platinum shrooms, which are a pretty useful item to craft desserts with, certain dessert with later. So right now I don't have enough Lactonuts yet, which is why I have to go and get this vegetable spot that's a little out of the way. So this loses me quite some time, but I do get more carrots as well, which I still need. So now that I'm done collecting all my collectibles, I'm gonna head back to the militia garrison and turn in these items. And afterwards, I'm gonna take an inn to level all of our characters up to prepare for the next fight, which would absolutely destroy us if we weren't at a higher level. So levels in this game kind of matter. The more levels you are below an opponent, the more damage you take. There's actually a hidden multiplier that increases the damage that you take the more levels you are below your opponent. We're gonna want to level up just so we don't die in the next fight. And here I actually do a bit of crafting. Normally I wouldn't, but I wanted to check how many platinum shrooms I have, so I can make a more informed decision on my collection later. Just because I was very focused on getting the Lactonuts that I didn't notice how many platinum shrooms that I had. I wanted to go there to check. So I noticed I have 1. So I might as well just explain now. The platinum shrooms are going to be useful for crafting an item known as the platinum bonbon. And these are by far the best item you can turn in for a quest known as Hungry for More, which is the quest I alluded to just now. You need to cook stuff and turn it in. It's 2 parts. The first part you turn in savory items, and the second part you turn in desserts. So platinum bonbons are the best ones you can turn in for the second part. Normally though, you cannot craft a lot of bonbons. So you have to pay attention to how many resources you have. So you can craft also Sculpin Parfaits, which are the second best item to turn into that quest. For that you need other collectibles, such as the Lily of the Sunny Valley, which I'm also keeping track of. So I collect this last spot because I still need carrots. I get all the carrots which I need. Very nice. And now I'm done with the questing. I can go to the next quest here, or the next part here. Little failed platforming, unfortunately. And yeah, we have to beat up these 2 Gargoyles. It's a pretty simple fight. You just want to break one of them and then build up to your tier 2 with Jin. And then normally Adam and Mithra will launch and smash for a lot of damage. I do get a break here, and then I swap over to Jin, topple, it's my tier 2, and then Mithra smashes. And for this one, I just set up tier 1 and then use either Mithra or Bridget's tier 2. So yeah, pretty good fight, but some time loss just because of the extra collection I had to do. So next up, we are going to go back to the militia garrison, and then we have to head over to Hyber. And along the way, we're also going to do some preparation for the next story quests, which we're going to need 5 nest essence and also 5 Tony carrots, which I already have. So the nest essence I'm just going to get from certain enemies that spawn outside of Hyber. And again, the gold chips here really carrying by giving us a guaranteed 2 nest essences from each of these nests here. Very handily one-shotting all of these enemies. Is this the last one? And we'll swap to Laura. Because for the next fight I want to start Laura because she has access to breaks. And then I swap to Adam. So you don't have to start on Adam, but this is a strat which I do because I really want to unlock a skill known as Lightspeed Flurry on Mithra's chart, which gives her extra specials recharge every time she lands a critical hit. And this is going to speed up the final boss quite considerably, which is why and to unlock Lightspeed Flurry level 2, you need to execute 10 back attacks, or 10 attacks from the back. And this is the easiest fight to farm 10 back attacks, so just go to the back and just auto-attack it 10 times, and that unlocks Lightspeed Flurry level 2. This is the easiest fight to do it on, because you just need to wait for Laura to break, and then you can launch and smash with Adam and Mithra. And then the game gives you access to gives control over Laura again for the second phase of this Jackon fight. Ideally, I want to break him out of this skill known as Rolling Claw, which it's using on me now. I don't manage to, however. And this usually prompts Adam to swap over to Minnow and not continue the driver combo. But fortunately for me, Bridget gets her tier 2 up pretty quickly, so I'm able to have her deal lots of damage to this Jaguar and finish it up. This fight definitely can go a little wrong sometimes though, especially if you get unlucky, don't get the break, or you just take a lot of damage and don't get to lock the Jaguar in driver combos. But I got a really good fight, and there's Lightspeed Flurry there, which I just unlocked. Before that, usually any percent has a lot of trouble getting Lightspeed Flurry level 2 because you don't control Adam for any of the fights. So you kind of just have to depend on AI Adam to back attack 10 times, which is, like it sounds, not very reliable. Which is why I started farming the back attacks on the Jackon there. In fact, it might even be faster because by controlling Adam and Mithra, you control the timing of the launch and smash. When you're controlling Laura, sometimes Adam and Mithra will launch and smash too early and then kind of messes up the timing, so you don't get as much damage because you missed the window to apply your blade combo on the driver combo, fusion combo. But once we're done with the Dragon, we head back to Chem, and this is where we turn in the Nest Essences and the Tawny Carrots. And now we can make our way over to Oresco. Before that, we're going to make another pit stop in Hyber. This is when we're actually supposed to go to Hyber, so now we're finally at the point of the run where we have to go to Hyber. And while I'm at Hyber, I'm just going to run a few errands, talk to a bunch of people to progress with the story, collect some more mechanical parts. And then I'm going to open a few barrels. I don't need the items inside the small barrels, but I need to open a total of 10 chests, I believe, including barrels, to unlock Keen Eye on Haze's skill tree, which is going to allow me to open yet another barrel, this time with something that I actually want, called the Silver Earrings. These are accessories which increase your party gauge gain every time you score an excellent in the QTE of a special. doesn't really doesn't really help out now, but the final fight of this game, or one of the final fights of this game, is dependent on getting party gauge as quickly as possible. So this is going to help out quite a bit later. But yeah, there I checked the charts to unlock Gion Super Strength, and he uses Keen Eye, Jin's Fortitude, and then I open the chest there for the silver earrings. Notice how I don't pick it up, because when I talk to the NPC here and go into the cutscene, everything on the screen just gets collected for some reason. I don't know why, but it works like that. After the cutscene, I want to purchase 3 gear vests here. These increase our HP, really nice for bulk. And I also need to spend 10,000 gold, so this is a very convenient place to do it. The 10,000 gold is going to unlock Keen Eye level 2 on Haze's skill tree, which a lot of the field skills on our blades are going to be needed to complete quests later, and obviously that's important because you need to complete quests to gain community to progress with the story. So yeah, a lot of crafting and routing is also revolving around unlocking certain field skills in your characters. And if you don't know what field skills are, basically there are certain obstacles, and in the case of this game, there are certain quests which you need specific skills on specific blades in your party to be of a certain level to be able to progress with them. So those are going to come into play later. And now it's probably a good time to talk a bit more about Hungry for More. So my strategy here is, because I know I can craft 1 bonbon, and that gives 34 points. I'm gonna need 66 more points. And Purate Sculpin Parfait gives 26 points per parfait, so I need to turn in 3 more parfaits to be able to complete the quest. The problem is, I also need to feed Adam 2 parfaits. This is to unlock Mithra's Focus level 2. And I need to craft 5 items in total with Mithra to unlock Fortitude level 2 on Jin. So which means I have to craft 5 Sculpin Puree parfaits, 2 to feed to Adam and 3 to turn into the quest. The problem is I do not have enough Lily of the Sunny Valley to do so. I'm gonna need 1 per parfait, so 5 lilies in total. But I only have 3 here after this spot. So at this point I'm thinking I probably have to get extras later on. So keep that in mind. And this spot here, I want to collect Mysterious Leaves, which I get 2 of. Perfect. And then the last spot here, I'm really hoping that I get another lily, and I do not get the lily which I need, so I'm stuck with 3 here. Now I did say I want to make 5 parfaits, but for this run specifically, I can craft an alternate dessert using items which I got from Gormott, such as the bar tomato and also the gregarious scorpion. So that can also substitute 1 parfait for the Hungry for More quest and also for Jin's Fortitude level 2. So I only need to craft 4 parfaits, which means I need 4 lilies, and so I'm 1 short now. So I'm thinking to myself, I probably have to get 1 more lily, even if it's out of the way. The problem with not being able to craft all the items at once is that not only do you have to warp to collect that item, which is also based on RNG, but then you have to take the camp again, which is extremely slow. So you really want to craft all the items which you need in one go. So we're here in Oresco. And like I said, to progress in the story, you need to gain certain community points. And the next goal is 16 community points. So we're just gonna do a couple of quests now to get to 16, and then we can continue with the rest of the story. So this quest here, lighting the way, I believe it's called. You have to light certain lamps around town. We're not going to complete this straight away, but we're going to light the lamps while we do other quests. So I just lit 2 there. Except this quest called Armu's Gone Astray, which we're going to do pretty shortly. Tag the Speffen Inn landmark here. And then this quest here, I forgot what it's called in English, but basically you have to craft hats. So quite a few collectibles are needed for this quest, like panda pansies, the floral soil, and also the cotton branches, and the helix, the corkscrew creepers. So this quest here, you have to turn machine parts, which is why I've been collecting machine parts in Aletta. Actually take 1 extra machine part in outside Aletta Militia Garrison, which you don't have to get, but sometimes you get really unlucky. You can get lots of these items, which you cannot turn in for that quest. So by collecting 1 extra machine part, machine spot, I basically guarantee that I have enough parts to finish this quest. So the second part, you can just turn in bat hinges, which you get as a reward from the urchin quest in Gormott, one where you have to kill the urchin. So you never have to worry about the second part for this quest. Although if you have a lot of scarlet cores, you can actually turn those in to save menu time, because those give a lot of points, whereas bat hinges only give 10. So we talked to a couple of NPCs to progress with some quests. And then this is an item which, so far I think only I collect. Specials level 3 plus. This is an ox core which increases the damage of your tier 3. Which is going to be useful later, when I'll explain it when we get there. Collect some fish along the way. I haven't explained this yet, but there's a quest later which you have to turn in fish. It doesn't matter which fish, you just need an assortment of fish. And on top of that, I also need the fish to craft parfaits. So it's good to have as much fish as you can. And here's probably the most important decision I made the entire run. I run to this flower spot here to try to get 1 more lily, because I basically realized that I need to craft 4 parfaits. So fortunately for me, I do get the last lily that I need, and so I'll be able to craft 4 parfaits later. And so here we talk to a bunch of Armus to progress with the Armu's Gone Astray quest. I'm gonna collect a bit more fish just to be safe. Especially because I haven't gotten many Aegeon procs. With the fish skill, you can get double the drop 60% of the time. It's kind of like forestry and botany. But I've been pretty unlucky with those, so I haven't gotten any Aegeon procs. I don't even get it here. But yeah, that's why I've been collecting a lot of fish slots. And then we talk to this Armu. The next area we're gonna go to is back to Danuk Desert. And this is where we're gonna do the biggest crafting section of this game, or the biggest crafting menu of this game. Gonna have to craft lots of items, most of which are food which we're gonna need to turn in for Hungry for More. Well, the first part, a very easy dish you can craft is actually trout chalu. You keep the trout chalu which you crafted at the start of this run, and so you only need to turn in 4 more dishes. Normally you would need to turn in 5 dishes in total, so you already have 1 trout chalu, so just craft 4 more. In this case, I had enough to make 4 trout chalu, so that was really nice. But normally what happens is that I would craft 2 trout chalus and also 2 deviled baguettes, which is need which to craft that baguette you need wolf flesh, which is why I said collecting 2 extra wolf flesh is very useful in Gormott. And then I craft some other items, the Talisman of Foresight, which unlocks Super Strength level 2 on Aegeon's chart. And also the books with Minov, and also the, like I said, the 4 parfaits with Mithra, plus the 1 Scorpion dessert, which I'm gonna turn in for Hungry for More as well, in place of 1 parfait. And also counts towards Jin's Fortitude level 2. So, not an item which you can craft most runs, just because you don't always have the required materials or the ingredients. But for this run, I noticed that I could make that, which actually turned out to matter a lot because I didn't have enough resources to craft 5 parfaits. So I actually needed 1 extra dessert. And especially a dessert which can be turned in for Hungry for More. Not all of the desserts are worth a lot of points for Hungry for More. The most ones that are worth the most points are bonbons, parfaits, and then the last one is the Scorpion dessert. At least the ones we have access to. Right, so for that last Armu, you actually the Turkins actually deal a lot of damage. But a cheat code that you can do is you can actually just run away and then they will disengage, and then you can just run and talk to the Armu before they respawn. It's also why I lead with Hugo, because he has I think like 50 or 60% evasion from projectiles, and those Turkins like to shoot arrows at you. So Hugo's very unlikely to die, basically, and it's also why I took the inn earlier before going to the Turkin, so I have more HP in bulk. And yep, here is Hungry for More, the infamous quest. We used to do a quest known as Secret of Dana, which you also had to turn stuff like sour avocados. But it's really slow, it's really out of the way, and Hungry for More is just a lot faster. But in turn, it does introduce a lot more collection RNG. So it's kind of a trade-off, but it is faster to do Hungry for More instead of Secret of Danuk. So yep, I do get through the quest. So at this point, I'm very happy that I decided to take the extra Lily spot, because that pretty much just saved this run. And yep, here I turn in the materials to craft the hats. And then this is the last quest which we need before we can get 16 community. Then we can progress with the story, finally. So I head over to Viridian Gate. And Malos, the main villain of the story, invades the town and sicks his Gargoyle minions on the town, and we have to stop them. So that's what we're gonna do. Before that, we're gonna do a quick menu so we're prepared to take on these Gargoyles. I'm gonna teach some skills. This skill here, which I teach to Laura, increases increases your damage when you cancel. Increases your arts damage when you cancel. I'm gonna give Hugo another initiative skill, and then give Adam the skill for increase specials recharge off canceling, which is very useful for helping him get his tier 1 up. Give some accessories to Gear Vest. Give Adam the silver earrings, Hugo the burst symbol, and Laura get the Gear Vest. Give the book to Laura for a bit of extra damage. Give the parfaits to Adam to unlock focus level 2, and then give the amulet of Farsight to Hugo to unlock super strength level 2 on Aegeon's chart. And then give some ox cores to her blades. Very importantly, we give elemental orb prioritizer to Bridget. This makes it so that in a chain attack, an orb that has already 2 points of damage will always be targeted by Bridget. So she will always break an orb that has already taken 2 hits of damage, provided that there is no water orb left. But normally we don't have water orbs anyway, so it's not really an issue. And then I check charts to unlock the skills. So one really annoying thing about this the game is that even though you've already unlocked the skills, you have to go into the chart to actually gain access to them. Right, so the strat for these Gargoyle fights are really simple. Just set up Ultimate Aurora on a topple. Ideally, you want to try to get... You want to stack the Ultimate Aurora. So stacking is a technique which basically just refers to getting multiple specials on the same driver combo. So getting... setting up flame... setting up electric, and then fire, then getting a break, then using Ultimate Aurora does less damage than setting up electric, getting the break, then doing fire, then ice on the same break. So by getting 2 specials on the same break or more, you actually increase the damage done by these specials exponentially. The problem is that Bridget tends to swap back to Hugo whenever you get a break, which makes stacking the Ultimate Aurora not very reliable. So normally what I do is I just go for a single stack, which is just Flame Bolt, then Topple, then Ultimate Aurora. And this does less damage and is actually not 100% consistent with killing the Gargoyles. Which is also one of the reasons why I pick up the Specials level 3+, so I deal more damage with my Ultimate Aurora. The damage which you deal in your blade combo is factored into the final blade combo damage. So by dealing more damage with my tier 3, I also indirectly increase the damage which I deal with Ultimate Aurora. So here I'm just waiting for the break, and I die. It's fantastic. I was standing a little too far behind because I wanted to avoid the double cannon, which has a really large range, which can hit things on its side. So I really didn't want to die to that. But by standing too far to the back, I'm actually in range of the tail sweep attack, which just killed me. Because obviously I'm fishing for breaks because, again, you're controlling the break, and by getting the break you can set up very huge fusion combos. Fortunately for me, I was able to recover this fight by getting another break and then just setting up another combo. So now we have the last Gargoyle, and hopefully this one goes better than the last one. The first one I nearly died as well, I think. The second one I did die. So hopefully the last one goes a bit better. So you're already at Gold Affinity thanks to all the Hunter's chemistries that we have. I didn't give the extra Hunter's chemistry which I picked up in Gormott to Gion. It's also helping out here. One really annoying thing about these Gargoyles is that they like to use a move known as Element Breaker. This prevents all reactions, like breaks. So if you use this Element Breaker, you just have to wait for it to expire before you try to break again. Which just loses time. I did miss my topple there, but Adam very kindly toppled for me. Or was it Hugo? Could have been either one. But yeah, basically allowing me to finish that fight. So I did lose some time here just because of the second Gargoyle fight where I died. But at this point, this run is still really good. So I'm just trying to. I'm still gonna complete the run. Still gonna go ahead with the run, even though I didn't have a really good set of Gargoyles. So this is the first fight against Mallows. The strat here is just to go Ultimate Aurora then Chain. So I'm building as much special gauge as I can. Swap over the Jin. Get access to 3 more arts and chain all of them together to get tier 3. Bridget very conveniently gets her tier 2 up. And then once that goes up, I use Ultimate Aurora just in time to avoid the Monado Cyclone, which might have killed me. Because you're impervious to all damage while you're doing combos, or when you're doing combos like Ultimate Aurora. When you're doing unnamed combos, you don't actually freeze the driver combo. So you have it's a lot harder to get that into like a window of driver combos. Whereas with Ultimate Aurora, it freezes driver combos, so you can always get it on like a topple or a break if you get them. Right, so this fight's basically over. I just need to break the right orbs. And blades actually deal 2 hits of each orb has like free HP or free hits that you can take. You need 3 hits to break each orb basically. If you hit an orb of an opposite element to your blade, it deals 2 damage, and the blade will always target that orb. So it just so happens that Hugo is Earth, so he can break the electric orb if needed. A Gion can break the fire orb if needed. And then if 2 people hit the same orb, Bridget can break that orb because she has the elemental orb prioritizer on her, which makes her target any orb which has already taken 2 hits. So yeah, you do want to try to get a good overkill on this. You don't need a huge one, but you want to get some overkill because it's going to give you more SP for later. And if Hugo's SP is actually really tight, you want enough SP on him to teach a very important skill for the final fight. And yep, if you don't get a good overkill here, you might fall short. Which just loses you time. You can still get the remaining SP that you need, but just lose time. Alright, so once you're done with Mallows, he 6 two more Gargoyles, and you have to fight both of them at once. Fortunately, they aren't as strong as the previous Gargoyles. I think maybe because there are 2 of them. Strategy is still kind of the same, except because they're weaker, you can actually not use Ultimate Aurora. You can use like other combos. For the first one though, I do use Ultimate Aurora just because it's easy. While you're building up your transmigration stacks and everything as well. Also has the benefit of making you immune to damage, so you just don't die. Right, that's the first one. Now we go on to the second Gargoyle. Once I get Laura, I'm basically going to swap over to her so I can try to fish for breaks again. And this time I don't go for Ultimate Aurora, I'm just going to set up Ice Free. So with Mifra's tier 1, I'm going to wait for a Gion. I'm going to fish for a break, and I'm going to wait for a Gion to... Or he's going to swap to Hugo, but that's fine. So just before Hugo gets his... finishes his special, I'm going to topple this dude, so I get the stack topple on this Ice Free here, which is going to do lots of damage. Very nice fight. So yeah, that is the for the mid game or early mid game. Done with that gauntlet of fights, so now we can do more side questing. Yay! So our community now is at 16. The next community checkpoint, community free, will be at 32, and then to face the final boss, we need 48 community. Fortunately for us, a lot of the quests that are coming up will give multiple community, so we don't actually have to complete that many quests. And completing a few of the quests also unlocks community NPCs, which are just basically free community. They join your community just by talking to them. Just some story cutscenes, and then we can just go on with our side questing. Alright, I'm gonna start a few quests here. I believe this one is called Helping the Helper, or might be mistaken, but basically you have to go to Harrod Hills to get an item, and then you have to craft another item, which he very conveniently gives you all the materials for, except for one, which you have to go and get yourself. It's a key item. We'll light the lamp. One more lamp left, but we'll light that later. Except this quest here, which you have to go to Gormott to do. And after that, we do a quest known as Forest Trail Antics. Basically, there's lots of garbage in the forest outside, and this granny wants us to go and clear it so she can take her strolls in the forest and not have to look at all that garbage on the ground, basically. This is where you can also get more mysterious leaves if you need them. Only need 2 of them, so normally you don't need this extra spot, but it is an option if you need it. Yeah, I'm just clearing up all this rubbish like a really nice and responsible citizen. And after clearing up the first few garbage, behold, there's more. So we have to clear those up as well. So after this part, 4 Nopons will spawn around town and you have to talk to them. We're not going to do that yet, we're just going to do more quests first. And once we're back on our escalator, we'll do the rest of this quest. So I'm going to go to Harrod Hills, which, nope, not yet. Okay. I'm going to go to Aletta, and I'm going to accept a few quests. Right, so after this, we're gonna go over to Hybergen, and we're gonna talk to our first community NPC, known as, I believe his name is Benny. Shoutouts to Benny. One of my good friends is called Benny. Not Benny, but Ben. Right, and like I said, just join your community for free. Just talk to them. Easy 1 community. It's like the devs just were like, you know, I'm kind of lazy to think of more quests, so I'm just gonna give these community NPCs to you for free. Okay, but anyway, we got a fight here against McNett. Strat here just to set up ice-free combo. If you can stack, try to stack. So I'm just gonna try to fish for a break here. Resist a few breaks, kind of unlucky. Once I do get the break though, I managed to get this really nice topple stacked ice. A Geon is not really used much in the speedrun except just for breaking orbs, but for this fight in particular, I really like a Geon's tier 2 because it's really fast. Alright, so once we're done with McNeff, we will go over to Harrod Hills to pick up this this key item which we'll need for crafting another quest item later. And now we're gonna go to Gormott. Come back to Gormott here, and we're gonna progress with the Taste of Home quest. Basically, we cooked a different. He gave us a dish. He wants us to cook to remind him of the cooking from his hometown. We cooked that dish with Jin and we brought it to him, and he's like, this is really, really delicious, but it's not exactly what I'm looking for because the food in my hometown tastes really bad. So I want you to cook really bad food for me. So he's like, this is too delicious. It's not realistic. It's not what I'm looking for. The food I'm looking for is way worse than this. Really strange, but yeah, it's really funny. Some of the side quests are just really funny. So yeah, he gives us another recipe, and now we have to cook another dish. And surprise, surprise, we cooked it. We will cook it with Mithra because Mithra is really bad at cooking, and she'll definitely mess it up. Right, so we're here. We have to dig up a couple of chests for this quest. If you're short on muscle branch, you can actually collect the puzzle tree spot, like just right beside here. And you can collect it up to 2 times. Once before collecting this chest and once after. But any more puzzle tree which you need after, or any more muscle branch which you need after this, it's gonna be very slow to get. So pretty much try to get all the muscle branch that you can before this. Alright, so we're here at the hidden hunting camp again. I'm gonna examine the footsteps to find out where Kali and Kelly are. So we're gonna bring them back to their daddy in Aletta. While we're here, we're also gonna craft that dish I just talked about with Mithra. And also craft the quest item with Laura. So one nice backup for not getting 5 dishes for Jin's Fortitude is to actually just craft 4 dishes, and then this Chosanian DX counts as the 5th dish. So you can actually check Jin's chart here afterwards. But the reason why I do it before and just craft 1 extra item with Mithra is to save on menu times. Then you don't have to open up the menu here. Right, so you have to go over to this really secluded area to complete this quest. Nothing really much to say, but you do need Fortitude level 2 plus Mining level 2 for this next chest. And again, Fortitude level 2 we get by crafting 5 items with Mithra, and then Mining level 2 we get by crafting 5 books with Minaf, which is what we needed to craft the books for just now. Alright, that pretty much just wraps up what we need to do in Gormott. We have one last thing to do, it's to go and find Kali and Kelly. They're hiding in this tree here, over at Singbree's Bow. And there's actually an insect spot here that you can take, and I believe I still need 3 more insects. So I just need I collect the spot here, Minaf procs, which is nice, gives me double the drops, and I collect the insects here, and I see at least 3, so that's really good. So I'll be able to craft 1 more book later, the Aegis, which is the best book in this game in the speedrun, which gives you 20% extra specials damage and also a bit of arts recharge, so it's a really good book. Right, so we're done with that. We go back to Aletta, finish the quest here. This quest is the one which you have to beat up McNeff for. Gives you 2 community, very useful. And then you complete the thicker than water quest. Basically bring Kali and Kelly back to their father. And I believe this quest gives you free community, which is a lot. Plus, it also gives you 1 community NPC over in Gormott, which I'm gonna go and pick up right now. So yeah, like I said, the quest gives you later on. The quest gives you like a lot of NPCs, so it's not as bad as it seems to getting up to 48. Like a lot of these quests gives you like 2 or 3 NPCs, and maybe plus 1 more community NPC afterwards. Right, going back to Oresco, now we can finally talk to the 4 Nopons that were throwing rubbish all around the forest. 2 of them are at Viridian Gate. The first one is just here, and then the other one is up in the tower. So we have to go up and talk to that Nopon. So a bit of a workout here. I'm gonna climb this really long ladder. Get to that Nopon. And then this is a nice little movement optimization which I do, which saves a couple of seconds. Jump down to this light here. and then light it, and then I go back to this quest NPC. So we used to do this in a different order, but timed this to be 3 seconds faster than the previous route that we did. Right, so now I'm going to the back gate, and this is where we're going to do the fish quest, which we have to turn fish for. So I should have enough fish. I collected like 1,000,000 fish spots. And this quest NPC is named Tyler. And so at this point of the run, I always like to give Tyler a shout out. Tyler is another Torna runner and did a lot of work to route Cainless and just has contributed a lot to the Torna route. So I always like to give Tyler a shout out here. Yep, just turning in all the fish here. I have just enough. It's really nice. Also notice how I talked to the knob on there before I actually started doing the quest. This is because, like, after you accept the quest, there's like a bit of a lag before I can talk to an NPC again. So I just talked to another NPC and talk to Tyler again. And hey, look, another free community NPC. Free community is great. And now we complete. Now that we've lit all the torches, we can complete this quest for one more community. And then I'm just gonna head to Speffen and finish up a bunch of other quests. We're wrapping up community free right now. But one, no fun hiding behind the inn here. I believe now we're gonna finish up Forest Trail Antics. Forest Trail Antics also unlocks another community NPC. Right, that is the last quest which we need to. Well, second last quest which we need to do before community 4. Just collect a couple more community NPCs. This is the last one, and then we're gonna warp over to Palace Aureus to finish the last quest. And then when we start Community 4, the first quest which we want to accept is at Aureus Palace. So this is a nice little piece of routing that we did. Finish the quest here last. There's also a community NPC here, so you have to come here sometime or another. Right. Now we are community level 3, and now we want 16 more community to get to community level 4. First quest which we accept is this one. I believe it's called Planning for the Future, and this is where you need a 10 muscle branch for. So we have to talk to this NPC here. And then we're gonna have to get 3 things. So the first thing we have to get is a lady who can help out with this quest in Gormott. So we're gonna warp over to Gormott to speak to that lady. Second thing we're gonna need is glass, certain type of glass, which, remember the quest which we did all the digging up the chest for just now in Gormott? That's a prerequisite quest for this one. You have to complete that one, so she'll give you the glass for this quest. Yep, so like I said, we're here in Gormott. Now we are going back to that gate. So this you don't have to go to the back gate, but it's more optimal to do it this way, because whenever you warp in between continents, the game takes a long time to load everything in that map. And if you were to trigger a cutscene right now, it would take a long time to load for some reason. Don't ask me why, I don't know. But basically, by doing this quest first, you give the game time to load everything in this area. That way, when you trigger the next cutscene in Speffen, outside Speffen Inn, it comes out instantly. Yep, this is the cutscene I mentioned. If you went from Gormott straight to Speffen Inn, this cutscene will take like 10 seconds to load. And in return for helping her out, this lady Charlotte here is gonna give us some glass. And then we're gonna turn everything into this dude again. And the next thing we have to do is we have to go to Yanchik Harbor to build the ship that we wanted to build or something. Right, so that is planning for the future. I believe this quest gives you 2 community, maybe 3, I think it's 2 though. Right, just going to clean up a couple more quests before we accept a simple errand. First quest which we're gonna do is Hubby Takes a Hike. Really simple quest. All you need to do is talk to someone in Gormott and boom, we get 2 community. Awesome. And then you get this one, what's it called? Safety measures or something like that. This one's a bit longer. You have to run around and talk to a bunch of people. At the end of this one, you also have to turn in 8 puzzle tree wood and 4 deer wood. But you can get by with 6 puzzle tree and 3 deer wood, because talk to Lyta later. If you talk to Lyta, she will give you free wood. Right, so after this we go to Gormott. To progress with safety measures, you have to talk to the Taste of Home NPC. And while you're there, you also complete Taste of Home. Nice bit of routing here. And so this guy finally gets to try the dish he's been missing so much. And he's like, "Ah, this tastes really bad. Thank you so much. It's perfect." Right, so here we are. We're gonna go and look for Lyta. And she's gonna go back to Oresco and talk to what's his name? I forgot, but that dude. And then we can complete this quest. Also an insect spot just now in case you need more insects. I'm gonna go back to Torgoth Arch. This is to complete the Hubby Takes a Hike quest. Literally, I said you need to only talk to one person. And that person is right here. Right, done with that. Now we can go back and finish the quests. For good. Right, that is one quest. I believe this one gives you 2 community. Yeah, I think I mentioned it before. 3-2 community. Now we get to finish up safety measures. So Lyda's back and she's talking to this Vizar. What's his name? I forgot his name in English. Yep, and now we go over to Speffen Inn where we can turn in some wood to finish the quest. And luckily for me, I have just enough puzzle tree wood. So that was nice. But if I didn't have enough anyway, I could get one set from talking to Lyda. It's just here as well. And finishing safety measures also gives you 1 community NPC, which is the last one which we're going to pick up before we start a simple errand. Alright, we got the community NPC. Now we can finally set up or finally start a simple errand. So after this point, we will always get the community menu whenever we finish the quest and people join our community. But for the most part of this run, we've managed to skip that entirely. So at this point we're super overpowered, we're just gonna one-shot these dudes. Nice AoE Snow Blast there, and then just auto-tag this dude until it dies. So yeah, completing a simple errand is actually pretty important because it is part of a chain of quests which give you a lot of community. So I believe right now we are at 43 or 42. But we're gonna get the rest of them in like 2 quests. So the first quest which we want to do is called Trail of Destruction. You have to do a bunch of this in it, a bunch of things in it. The main ones, you have to go and clear some rubble around town, and then you have to beat up a monster in Lasaria. This is also where you need super strength level 2 on the Geon for, because a few of these I believe need super strength 2. Alright, last one for this area, and then we're gonna go over to main gate. There are 2 more rubble. Fun fact, it's actually faster to do the 100,000 in the red now by 1 second. But because there is no other good area to warp to after Gormott, the ship for the planning for the future quest, it's actually faster to do 100k in the red just now so that we can avoid a long load and Sveffen in. Alright, 1 more pile of rubble. And then the next step is actually to beat up a monster in Lasaria. To do that, we have to go and spawn the monster first by talking to a couple of NPCs. Right, so we have to talk to this NPC, and then it spawns a Jagron in Lasaria Woodlands, which we have to go and beat up. And I believe that is the last part of this quest. So this is the penultimate quest. We're very near the end now. And the last quest is going to go by really quickly. It's just talk to a bunch of NPCs and you're done. So this fight's also pretty straightforward. It's just like McNeff fight. Start off with hopefully a break. I missed it, of course. And then just break it if you can. Apply heat. And then you wait for one of your party members to get their 2-2 up. You know, for Adam here. Very nice. Somebody breaks. It might have been a Geon. I make a bit of a mistake here. I accidentally used my Snow Blast before getting the special off. If I didn't get the Snow Blast off, I would have been able to catch it on the topple, I think. Again, unspecified combos like ice free don't freeze the driver combos, so you have to get your entire special in between that frame window if you want it to count. Alright, last part here. We're done with this quest. Now we can do the last quest here, which we need for the remaining free NPCs, remaining free community, which we need for Community 4. I believe this one's called Making Up the Numbers, and basically you just talk to a bunch of NPCs, that's all. It's like the devs decided that gaining community was too hard, so just have a free quest, you know, just talk to a bunch of people and then you can get free community for free. And then this quest also gives you some pretty good stuff like Affinity Max Attack Free, which increases your damage when you're at max affinity. Really nice aux course to have. And again, this quest is really easy. So yeah, it's just gonna take a couple of minutes warping to a few areas and talking to NPCs. The caveat for this quest is that it has a lot of prerequisite quests, like you have to do like the simple errand, the Trail of Destruction quest, and a bunch of other quests, basically. Which is why this quest is like done at the end. So we've gone to main gate and Speffen Inn. Now we are at Viridian Gate. We can talk to Cain. And then I believe it's just a couple PCs. Three more. No, four more. There's one right here at Viridian Gate. And then those four Nopon troublemakers, which you met in the Forest Trail Antics quest. And then this last dude at the back gate. I don't know why he's here. It's just some random dude. He's like, yeah, sure, I'll join you. Right. Finish this quest and we're done. And finally head to the final boss. So yeah, this has been a pretty long section of side questing, and now we're finally able to take on the final boss. We finally have all the required community. You can see really how long this just takes, like the entire menu. That's why it's so far. That's why Cainless just saves so much time. Right, last couple of cutscenes here. Take a rest at the inn and then head over to the Holy Gate of something. Which we tagged just now before we did the zombie jump. Here I also want to switch control to Adam. He's going to be the optimal member to control for the final few fights. Alright, last crafting session and in before the final boss. So I'm gonna craft a hollow talisman, which is going to increase party gauge gain even further. Craft the Aegis, which I already mentioned, which is for Laura, really nice book. And then level everybody up. And then normally at this point we would have to do the final dungeon and we have to go in and kill a bunch of monsters, but no. We've already tagged Soaring Rostrum, so hey, you just skip the entire dungeon. Good job. Alright, time to get some skills. This is a crit damage skill for Adam, and then this skill gives your entire party 10% extra critical rate in a chain attack, which is very nice, just increases your overall damage. This skill is very important for Hugo. It increases, it gives you more party gauge gain every time you score an excellent in a QTE, just like the silver earrings. Give Adam the hollow talisman, which is also his favorite pouch item, so it also increases the effect by 50%. Give the Ox Course affinity max attack to Jin and Mithra. Again, they're going to be the main damage dealers. Check some charts. Also worth noting that checking the charts also increases damage, the auto attack stat of your blades. Also give the Aegis to Laura, of course. Alright, this is the final boss. So the optimal strat here is to do an ultimate Aurora on Mallows. He comes with two of his robot friends. Notice how I run away here because I don't want to take as much. I don't want to take damage with Adam here. Just gonna run away. And once Hugo topples here, I'm going to extend, set up Volt, and I'm gonna extend as much as I can. And once Jin comes out, or with this Flame Bolt, and once Jin comes out, I'm gonna get this Ultimate Aurora on the triple stack topple. And this is going to annihilate Mallows. We're not quite, he lives with 1 HP. Well, one more hit and he's down. Alright, now it's just time to clean up his robot friends here. Ideally, Jin stays out and you can use the specials to deal a whole ton of damage, but that doesn't really happen all the time, so... Just try to have to clean things up with like Nifra and your other party members. Try to use your specials meaningfully. So I got my light here, it's gonna finish one of the robots. Now I have to throw this last one here, to use Hugo's tier 1. Missed time a bit here, so Jin gets his tier 2 up here. And I get hit by Polling Sensor just before I managed to get my tier 3 up, otherwise it would have died. But Jin does a really good job. He does, he did a lot of damage to this robot while I was being launched. So it was still pretty good. Sub 2-minute Mallows is always very good. And now for the finale, main highlight of this run. This is Mallows free, and now you get 2 giant robots in the background fighting. And the idea here is you want to charge up your party gauges. And once you get full party gauge, you can get the big robot to attack, your big robot to attack Mallows' big robot. And you have to do this 4 times, and then you can chain Mallows and kill him. So this is where Lightspeed Flurry really comes into play, because you can just spam their first tier 1 over and over, and with the Silver Earrings and Hugo's skill, every time you score an excellent, you will gain a ton of party gauge. Notice how I wait until after this to use the Ultimate Aurora, because when I start a special and then I use Ultimate Aurora, this actually lets me skip having to do the QTE and just gives me all the party gauge gains. You see, I gained a lot of party gauge from that. Right, so once that first, the idea here is you want to set up 8 orbs and do a full burst by breaking all the orbs in the chain. So you want to set up all the orbs here, and then the party 8i actually prioritizes orbs that aren't set up yet. So Laura swaps the Haze here because she doesn't have an orb up yet. I'm just gonna wait for Haze's tier 3 to go up. Because I also swapped him in off to set up Dark Orb. So now we already have Electric, Fire, Ice, Earth, and Dark. And I'm just gonna wait for Wind here. And then I need Light and Water. So Wind is here, really nice. Run away here to avoid Monado Eater. It's a skill that, it's an art that decreases all blade affinity. So just run away here to make sure I don't get hit. If you get hit, it's gonna make spamming your tier 1 a lot more annoying because it decreases your arts, your specials recharge. Right, get Light Orb here, and then Aegeon already has his tier 2, so I can get the Water Orb, and that is all. That's all the orbs. So I swapped to Adam here because I want to try to set up Auroras now to try to pre-damage Mallows as much as possible. If you get enough damage in before the chain, you can actually skip having to get a break. Right, so I set up the Volt here. And then because I swapped to Adam before I used the Siren, I'm able to swap back to Nifra really quickly. Unfortunately, Bridget swaps the Hugo here, so I don't get to set up the Aurora. And he uses armor as well, so it prevents him from getting toppled for a brief period. So basically at this point I'm not able to get any meaningful damage in because armor decreases all damage done to him by like 80 or 90%. So at this point I'm really just, I've basically decided that if I want to finish this fight quickly, I have to get a break. So this is the final Siren. fires its big bad laser. And once we get our party gauge here, we can chain Mallows and hopefully finish the fight. So I'm really hoping that Laura gets a break here, because otherwise I would not have enough damage. So I'm just charging out my special. She's still on Haze, and she swaps to Laura, and I get the break. Very nice. So I topple and extend as much as I can while setting up this stack topple. Once Hugo's special goes up, once Hugo's Earth goes up here, I'm going to chain. I'm going to carry that topple stack into this chain. So I started with Minoff here to break the light orb. If there's an orb on an enemy, that element does 25% less damage. So by breaking the light orb, Mithra does full damage. I also break the water orb. You need to break orbs to continue the chain. If you don't break an orb that round, you cannot continue the chain. So on the second round, I break the light orb and also the ice orb with Haze plus Bridget. And then for the third round, I use both Mithra and Jin to damage both orbs. And then Bridget will break one of them. And then the next round, I will break the other one. Ideally, I end the chain with Mithra because it's faster and also she does more damage. But since I have the topple stack here on the chain, basically as long as it doesn't matter because I'll always win here. So unfortunately, I do get slightly slower chain attack because Jin finishes the chain here, and once you get the full burst here, everybody uses an art. And then you're controlling the driver you're controlling here will use a tier 4, while the rest of your party uses a tier 3. So it's a lot better to have Mithra here because the tier 4 does more damage, and also Jin's tier 3 does more damage and then his tier 4. His tier 4 really sucks. But nevertheless, we are able to finish this fight in pretty good time. My PB here was a gold at that time was a gold, so I was gonna lose time most likely. But yep, that is the finale fight. But wait, there is more. There is one last fight that we have, Gormott, and now he's turned into this very hideous monster, and we have to stop him because he's evil. Right. So this is the last fight of the run. The idea is here you just want to set up a ice free, ideally on a topple. Unfortunately, I don't quite manage to get my tier 2 on the topple here, so I do miss out on that nice fusion combo damage. I do get the tier 2 here for some nice damage. I get hit by the last hit and get sent flying back. I try to get as much Snow Blast damage in because that damage actually does rack up. Snow Blast does a lot of damage. And so now I just want to build up to my tier 3, and oh no, I die! But I get revived because you cannot lose this fight. This game just revives you. And it's actually good to die because it gives you all your arts back and also instantly lets you Vanguard switch again. So I'm able to break and then topple and then get this ice free. And now he's really close to dying, so I just went to the side, do one more Snow Blast, and almost kill him, but no! He uses that tornado attack again. I missed my 202. But I still finish it. I still finish the fight pretty quickly, and I end with a time of 2:03:07. A really, really respectable time. And yeah, overall this run was fantastic. It had a pretty slow Aletta, all things considered, but Gormott was really good, and the final few fights were also really good. So this entire run, I would probably say it's a 9 or 9.5 out of 10. I'm really happy with this run. But the thing that irks me about this run is that 202 is so close that I might as well just go for it, right? That's gonna take a long time, or it's gonna take a lot of effort. But in the meantime, I'm very happy with this run, and yeah, I'm so satisfied that I have decided to commentate this run. And so I hope that this run, I hope that this commentary, you enjoyed this commentary. I hope you learned a bit more about this run and some of the routing and the decision making that goes into completing this run at a high level. So I might come back to beat this run. I probably will come back to try to get it to Route 2 since it's so close. But in the meantime, I'm preparing this commentary just to get this out there and also potentially submit it for marathons. So yep, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this again. Hope you enjoyed this. Yeah, hopefully the next commentary you'll see will be a 202. Thank you, and hope you have a nice day, and that will be all for this commentary. Thank you again for watching, and see you next time.